Did it start? Okay, everyone, good morning. I'm Becky DeGrossa with Counseling Wise, and I have Megan Vitek with me here today. What we're going to be talking about today is this issue of therapists hoping that private practice marketing efforts are going to pay off, and hopefully we'll be giving you a better plan than hoping, okay? So let's make sure that we got things working here today. Before we get started, well, this is me on the left in case you haven't been here before, in case you don't know me. And Megan is here with me.
Hello, everyone. It's great to be here.
All right. Megan is the marketing director for Counseling Wise, and I'm the founder, again, for those of you who haven't been around these webinars before. Glad to have you today. Before we get started, wanted to check with you to see if you can hear us. So if you can hear us, if you can see the screen and then hear what we're saying, please type yes into the chat area. Okay, good. So we're already hearing from somebody that they can hear. Okay, awesome. The rest of you go ahead and type it in as soon as you can so that we can make sure that we have good connection. Michael says, nice new headshot, Megan. All right. Hello, Laura, great. If you guys can hear, just put yes. There you go. Shanab, Christina, yes, perfect. There's always a delay with Google Hangout, so we want to make sure. Okay, so we're going to get going here. First of all, I'm going to start out with telling you my own story of private practice, and lots of yeses in the chat. I can see that. Great, I'm really glad that it's all working for everybody. Okay, so in 2006, after I finished my master's degree in counseling, I launched my private practice. Many of you already know that story. My private practice was about Center for Healthy Divorce is what it was. And I had really poured my heart into my website. Man, I worked really, really hard on that. So the thing that I noticed, though, was even though I felt that I had so much to offer people, okay, because of what I had gone through and, you know, a better way to do this divorce stuff, what would happen is that every once in a while someone would stumble upon my website and call me, but for the most part, very few people were finding me, okay, and that was a real bummer. It was a very, very big bummer, and that was even after I had learned a lot of stuff about changing my marketing message so that when they did find me, it was very compelling. But very few people were finding me. So, you know, do you relate to this? Some of you probably do. You probably know what it really feels like to feel that you can help people, but there's nobody really discovering you, okay? And so if that is the case, this is something that's really going to be helpful for you today. So I'm going to start out by talking about a study, and I call the study Art Without a Frame. You'll see why in a second, but it was just fascinating to me, actually. It was really interesting. Now, some of you, if you're into fancy music is what I call it, because it's not really something I'm into myself, but Joshua Bell, he's basically he was a child prodigy. He's a virtuoso. A very interesting part of his background is he was raised by two psychologists, which is kind of cool. And when he was 4 years old, they noticed that he was actually putting rubber bands around the drawers on his dresser and plucking out the classics, okay? And he would change the tone by actually pushing the drawers in and out, okay? So he was replicating classical tunes by ear and then varying the pitch by moving the drawers in and out when he was 4 years old. So his parents said, maybe we need to, you know, have this guy get some training if he's doing this already. So they did. They enrolled him in music lessons, age of 4 in Indiana, and he went on to just become this world famous violinist, okay? So he now plays a $3.5 million Antonio Stradivari violin from the 1700s. And he basically, when he plays in concert halls, he commands, and this was back in 2007, he commanded $45,000 a performance, okay? So the guy's good. Let's just put it that way. He's really good, okay? Well, something happened. The Washington Post actually approached him and said, hey, we want to do an experiment. And what we'd like to do is have you dress in street clothes and go and play in the subway. And what we want to test out is whether people who are just busy in their daily lives will stop and take notice of something that is really, really extraordinary, okay? And so this was the experiment that they wanted to do. They set up a hidden camera and they put him in the subway, and in fact, he had his very expensive violin. I mean, this was the man, right? And he started doing his thing. So he started playing Bach, and he actually played, some very difficult pieces, and he didn't hold back. He was very charismatic. He was rocking, and he was up on his tiptoes on the high notes, and he was just going for it, doing his normal thing, all right? 3 minutes went by before something happened, okay? 63 people had already passed when finally there was a breakthrough of sorts, and that breakthrough was that a middle-aged man kind of slowed down for a split second and turned his head to notice that there seemed to be some guy playing the violin. Then he kept walking, but at least it was something, okay? So then a half minute later, he got his first donation. He'd actually put out a case and threw a couple of dollars in it, and he did get his first donation. A woman threw in $1 and then scooted off. It wasn't until 6 minutes into the performance that somebody actually stood against the wall and listened, okay? And if you know this story, you're gonna know that this was actually a Joshua Bell fan who noticed this music, and he still didn't get it, that it was the guy, but he did stop and listen. But beyond that, things really never got much better. He played for 43 minutes, and only 7 people stopped to see what was happening and to kind of, hang around and take in the performance, at least for 1 minute, okay? 27 people gave money, most of them on the run. He made a whopping $32 and change for his 45-minute performance. And basically that left 1,070 people who just hurried by, oblivious that probably the most famous violin player in the world was playing in their subway with sound reverberating everywhere on a very expensive instrument, and they paid no attention. Okay, so pretty interesting little study there. So the questions for you, if someone is as talented as this guy, as Joshua Bell, is ignored by over 1,000 people who are basically enveloped in his gift, they can't get away from it, right? It's bouncing all over the place. Can you see how important time, place, and framing are for you? Okay, how important that is. And can you see how important it is for you to really actually get in front of people who are seeking you out, all right? That's what the whole point is here today. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna discuss how you can basically go from playing incognito in the subway and basically getting nowhere to getting yourself in front of people who really want what you have to offer, right? They really wanna find you. And this is the key to growing your practice, okay? This is the key. What is your biggest concert hall online? Well, here it is. It's Google, page 1, okay? Google page 1, that's where to go. That's where you're gonna get the most bang for the buck and the most people who wanna find you. People really are looking for you. And, I know that things are tougher than they used to be in terms of, Frank says, this is not making me feel good. Sorry, Frank. I know that people are kind of skeptical anymore. If you hang out in LinkedIn groups and Facebook groups and Psychology Today marketing forum, you'll hear some of these therapists saying, well, maybe therapy just isn't valid anymore. It's not a legitimate career anymore. We just can't make it work. People aren't really looking for us anymore. They have all these other things. They're going to medication. They're going to other holistic practitioners, whatever, right? So I want to show you something. People are actually still really looking for you. If you look at the data, there are 74,000 people per month in the US only looking for the term counselor. They're typing that into Google, looking for that. And if you multiply that by 12, that's a heck of a lot of people, okay? There are the same amount of people typing in psychologist. There are 33,000 per month typing in therapist, and then therapy, same number. Same for counseling. There's a ton of people who are still out there searching. All right, psychotherapy is $27,000 a month, and then psychotherapist is almost $7,000 a month. So you are definitely in demand. There's no question about that. The problem is that these people are going to this ticket booth called Google, and they're looking to buy something, and they're not finding you. Okay, so this ticket booth is Google. Here it is. I've typed in couples counseling Carrie, and I'm going to show you what comes in. The top part that shows up for them is the paid ads. Okay, and that's definitely something that's viable. We do Google AdWords for people. That's a way to get seen right away. It's definitely viewed, and it works for most people in most locations. Some it's a little tough. The next area that comes up is what we're calling Google Local, and that's really the focus of what we're talking about today. Okay, Google Local. So you can see that in the red at the bottom. This chart is what is called a heat map, and what it is showing is mouse movement on the Google screen. Okay, they've done a lot of studies that show that this is where people are actually looking. They record all of this. So the green parts are where the mouse has gone, and where the eye follows. The yellow is where the time is spent more, and then red is really where they're hanging out. Okay, so what you can see is that at the very top, they look at the top paid listings, then they go down to the next section, and they're hanging out a lot in the Google Local area. Okay, this has been proven over and over and again. So we're going to talk about how you actually can get there. All right, that's what we're going to do. Before I get started with that piece, and I'm actually going to turn the training piece over to Megan, because she's the one who's gotten trained here and knows all the ins and outs of this. Let's talk about who this presentation is really for. So if you have a solid website, but you're not getting clients, this is for you. This presentation is really for people who are actually, you've already put in some effort. You have a website up, but it's not paying off yet, okay? And if you don't yet have a solid website, but you want one, or you want to know what one even is, then you can go to counselingwise.com/smart. That will take you to our Smart Therapy websites presentation, where we talk you through how we build websites and optimize them and all of that good stuff. So you can check that out there. Some of you might be skeptical. You may think it's impossible to show up on page one. Or you may think even if you do show up there, it won't really matter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you several therapists that are already on page one and what that is doing for them, okay? Bottom line, this is possible for you too. My first experience with it was in about 2008, starting to learn about this. And back then it was a lot easier. I learned how to get Google Local rankings. I got my own practice there, and my phone really started ringing. And then I tested it on an attorney friend of mine, and it worked for him too. I'm no longer in private practice, as you know, but my attorney friend is still practicing, and this work was done in 2009 for him, and he's still here. You can see his listing right there. He's still showing up in the 7th place, or 6th place, I guess, for Google Places. I did this then for a therapist in Denver. She had a website up, wasn't getting any clients, got her ranked in Google Local. Her phone started ringing off the hook. She actually, in a 6-month period, changed her rates from $90 an hour to $200 an hour, and she still had a waiting list. And her term that she was ranked for was couples counseling. Okay. She then went on to start some other business, and so I can't show you her ranking, but it worked. It worked tremendously for her. Now, I will tell you, it's certainly not as easy now as it was back then. We, in 2009, it was extremely easy if you knew what the tricks were. And now it's a little more complicated, but it is still quite doable. And at the end of 2014, Megan attended a conference, and all the gurus of local search were there. And if any of you know, if you've studied local search, Mike Blumenthal was there. He is the man. He's the guy who's talking with Google constantly about local. And so he has their ear, and he knows everything there is to know. At this conference, she learned a very specific process for making this happen, okay? And it's very detailed. It's very specific. That's what she's going to cover today. She's going to walk you through it. Before I turn it over to her, I wanted to just show you some of our clients who are therapists and where they're ranking. We have, these are just some examples. I have left many of them out just for privacy reasons, but here's one of our clients in Cary, North Carolina. She has about 10 listings on page 1. Another one in San Antonio, 7 places listings on page 1. Another in Plano, Texas, another one about 10 listings. And then another therapist in New Jersey with, 11, 12, something like that. Okay. So it's definitely possible. There are going to be tons of details that Megan is going to share here. What I encourage you to do is, first of all, stay until the end. If you possibly can, stay until the end. We'll share a ton of information with you. We'll give you a link also to a resources page that we put on our site so that you can use that to improve your local rankings yourself. And also at the end, you're going to hear something that we have to offer you on how we can help you determine exactly what you need to do for your unique situation. Okay? All right, let's get into it. I'm going to turn it over to Megan now.
Hello, everyone. I am really excited to be here with you guys today to teach you all about local ranking and local SEO and what that means for your practice. So one thing I do want to say is I'm going to cover a lot of information, a lot of details and different things that you need to consider when moving forward. So don't feel overwhelmed. You can always, come back and watch the replay if you forget something or if you forget a term. So also, if you guys have questions, please feel free to jot those down and put them in the chat box. We'll be happy to answer those questions at the end. We're not going to do any specific questions during the presentation, but we will be more than happy to answer those at the end. So go ahead and just put them in the chat box and we will be happy to do that. So let's get started. What I'm going to cover today are 3 different areas. We're going to talk about the terminology of Google Local. We're going to talk about the keys to ranking, and we're also going to talk about how to get more clicks, okay? So first, let's talk about the terminology. Now, one thing that I've heard from a lot of people, as well as even colleagues, is what is all of this Google Plus talk all about? So there are all these terms floating around about Google. Google Plus is the most recent one. So Google Plus is Google's new system. So within Google Plus, we have Google Plus profiles, which are people, and we have Google Plus pages, which are national companies like Counseling Wise, and local companies like you guys if you're a local practice. So let's talk about this for a second. So Google Plus profiles, those are people. So if you have a Gmail account or if you have any type of Google account, you more than likely already have a Google Plus profile for yourself. And the way you know if you have one of these is if you're in your Gmail account and you're looking at your email, if you look in the top right hand corner, you're going to see a little plus sign with your name. So in mine it says plus Megan, and if you click on that, it's going to take you to your Google Plus profile. And this is for people. There's also Google Plus pages, and you must have a profile first before you can create a page. So page, like us, is a generic one would be a national company like Counseling Wise. So that's a generic page, generic Google Plus business page. And there's also the Google Plus local pages. And I'm going to show you some examples of what those look like here in a second so you have a better understanding of what those are. Some of the outdated terminology, Google Places. This is something that is what Google Local used to be called, Google Places. You probably heard this before. This is what Google Plus Local is now. So if you hear that, that's what that is. Google Maps is where all the maps are stored. So if you are searching for something and you go to Google Maps in your search bar, this is where all the maps are going to show up. So this is still alive and well, and this connects directly with Google Plus local pages. And Google My Business. Google My Business is the data aggregator and the panel where you sign in. This is what replaced Google Places. So if you have a Google local page, you know what Google My Business is. This is the dashboard that shows up when you log in. It shows profile views, it shows traffic, it shows all sorts of stuff that is related to your Google local page and your website if you set it up correctly. So that's what Google My Business is. So I'm sure if you hear that floating around the internet or if you hear someone mention Google My Business, this is one and the same of Google local and Google business pages. Alrighty, so this is Becky's Google Plus profile. So let's think about this. Profile equals person. So we see Becky DeGrossa has her name, and right underneath her name, you'll see that it says works at Counseling Wise. So if you are out and about looking at Google Plus profiles, you'll know that it's a person in a profile if it says works at blank or attended blank university. This is how you know it's a person. So this is Becky's Google Plus profile. And this is the Counseling Wise Google Plus business page. So you'll see here, it says Counseling Wise, which is the business name. It has our URL directly under our business name with a little check mark. And all that little check mark means is it's verified. It's a verified URL. It also has our logo as the background, and it has Becky's face as our profile image. Now, one little side note that I learned at the local conference I attended is Google really likes to see faces as profile images. So if you do have a Google Plus business page, go ahead and use a person. It doesn't have to be you. It could be anybody in your practice or a group photo, anything for your profile picture. But that's off track. Anyways, let's go back. So this is a Google Plus business page. And then the last one is the Google Plus local page. And the Google Plus local page is probably what you'll have if you have a local practice. So you can see that there is the Davidson Counseling Group is the name of the business. You can see up right next to the picture, it's kind of small, but there is another check mark there, which means that this address has been verified by Google. Directly underneath the business name is the business address, the phone number, the website, the category, and the hours of operation. So you can see here that this is a business page for a local business. Another way that you can tell that it's a local page is if you look on the About section in the bottom right-hand corner, excuse me, you'll see that there's a map. Okay, so we know this is a physical location because there's a map of that location. There's a street view image. There's a place for reviews. So we know that this is a Google Plus local page. Okay, so that's how you're going to know if you're looking out and on the web and you see this, you'll know that this is a local page. So the second thing we're going to talk about are the keys to ranking, okay? And there's three different pieces to this. There's three different pieces that factor into ranking. The first is your website. The second is a Google Plus local listing. And the third are citations. And we're going to dig into the individual pieces here in a minute. So these are the three key pieces that we're going to focus on in today's presentation about how to rank well locally. But before we get started, I want to show you this really great graphic that we pulled from Moz Local, which is a well-known local SEO company. And what this is this is an image showing you how Google gets all of its information. Now, if you're anything like me, you know, I used to think Google is the center of the universe. Google knows everything. They provide everyone with the data. That's just how it works. But you can see in this image that that's actually not how it works. Google is getting all of its information from other sources. So you can see all these arrows pointing into the center to Google Plus Local. You can see Factual, you can see Twitter, Newstar, Infogroup. All of these different data aggregators are feeding this information into Google Local, basically telling it where you're located, what's your business information, giving it all the information it needs to rank you. So if you have various information, if you have inconsistent data floating around the internet on different sites about your practice, then Google's not going to know where you're located. It's getting fed all of these different inconsistent details about you, and it's not going to know where the heck you are. So just moving forward in this presentation, think about this image. Think about how consistent data around the web is key. It's key to keep everything the same, your business name, your address, your phone number on all of these different sites, because this is what's feeding Google the information it needs to rank you well locally. Okay, so let's get started. Websites. So a website is key to, or the first key to ranking well locally, and it must be well built and have good SEO. And we probably sound like, you know, we're beating a dead horse here, but you have to have a really, really good website in place to rank well with Google. So if you do not, I know Becky already mentioned this earlier, but if you don't have a website in place, go to counselingwise.com/smart and watch our presentation about what it takes to create a really well optimized website. And that's the place that we want to start. If you already have a good website in place, then the next step is optimizing your pages for local. And what that means is you're going to make your page name include your city and state, your title tags, your description tag, your alt text on images. Oops. All of those things should include your city and state, okay? So when you're creating a page or a website, you don't want to just say, you know, you're couples counseling and focus on that, because you want to show Google, hey, I'm doing couples counseling in Plano, Texas, or wherever you're located. You want to present a clear signal to get Google to show them where you are. So let's look at some examples of this. So this is an example of localized SEO. You can see here on this page that the page title is Child Counseling in Cary, North Carolina. So the page name is showing the focus keyword, which is child counseling, as well as the city and state, which is Cary, North Carolina. And then also here in the title tag, it says child counseling in Cary. So we have the city and the focus keyword there, as well as in that meta description. You can see in the meta description at the bottom there that it says, if you're concerned, if you have a concerned parent in Cary, North Carolina, call us about child counseling. So it has the focus keyword as well as the location and the meta description as well. Another important part of your website is your contact page. So a lot of websites have a contact page. You may have a contact form on there to, you know, allow clients to contact you via that. You may have a map to your business location. There's all different things that you can have on this page, but the contact page is a really, really great place for you to communicate clearly with Google where you're located, as well as provide really clear details for your potential clients. So the first thing is, if you have separate office, if you have different offices, different locations, you want to have a separate contact page for each office. So if you have an office in, say, downtown Houston, as well as an office in the Woodlands, which is a small neighborhood outside of Houston, you want to have a separate page for each office. Also on those pages, you want to embed your Google Plus local listing map onto that page. And we're going to send you instructions on how to do that. But this is really important to put that map on there, because if not, you're just going to have a generic map. But you can actually link your Google Plus local listing to your contact page, which is really great for not only traffic, but also Google's communication. Another thing that we recommend is including local landmarks near you on the contact page. So what that means is, say you are located near a really well-known university or a bus station or a shopping center, include these landmarks on your contact page. This provides really good spatial information for Google to show them where you are, as well as good information for your clients who are trying to find you. They can, you know, remember, oh, I know exactly where that university is, so they'll know where you're located. Another thing, you want to make sure that your name, your address, and your phone number, which is also called NAP. It's a little shortened version, NAP, consistency. You have that consistency with your Google Plus listing and citations. And we're going to talk about this throughout this presentation, but if you remember that image I showed you of how Google is getting all of its information, you have to be consistent everywhere on your website, on your citations, on your Google Plus local listing with the same business name, the same address, and the same phone number everywhere, so that Google knows exactly where you're located. If you have an old website with an old address and you have all sorts of different citations all over the internet, maybe it's an old Facebook page or an old Yelp account for your old practice, if those are still floating around, Google's not going to know where the heck you are. So be sure to stay consistent with all of this data. And one last thing about the contact page before I show you an example. You want to make sure that the name, address, and phone information is in text format so that it can be crawled by Google. A lot of times we've seen websites where the phone number is an image or the address is in an image. And this is great visually, it looks really good, but Google can't read it. Google cannot read an image. So you want to make sure that you are providing that information in text format so that Google can read it. Alrighty, here's an example of a contact page with that embedded Google Plus local listing map. So you can see at the top that it says Ornstein Solutions. That's the name of the business. It has the address directly below it, as well as the reviews. So you can see that they have 4.4 stars and it says 10 reviews. This is another really great benefit to adding your Google Plus local listing map to your contact page. If you do have reviews, and we're going to talk a little bit more about those later, if you do have reviews, they're going to show up there. And that's great. It's a good way for clients to build trust and really know who you are. So you can see here, this is the map. It has the business name and everything. You can also get directions directly from this map on your page. So that's another great benefit, especially for mobile users. This is an example on that same contact page of the landmarks that I was just talking about. So helpful landmarks, you can see here, helpful landmarks to be aware of along Harrison Avenue include the Bass Pro Shop and a Chick-fil-A on the right. So what this site's doing is it's providing spatial information about where their office is located so that people know, as well as Google. So this is really, really great for you to do on your contact page. All right, the next piece after the website is your Google Plus local listing. So there are a few things to consider with this Google Plus local listing. You want to first make sure that no duplicates exist. One thing that is very, very common with Google Plus local listings is you may have created one in the past for your old address from a few years ago and just left it sitting there, and then you moved and you decided to create a new listing because why not? You moved, you might as well just go ahead and create a new one. Well, what happens when you do this is now there are duplicate listings hanging around in Google, and Google's not going to know which one's you. It's going to just see, oh, Mary has 5 duplicate listings, and so I'm not going to show her up because she obviously doesn't know where she's located, so why would we show her where, she's located? So one thing you want to do is make sure that no duplicates exist. That's really key. You also want to make sure your name, address, and phone number are consistent on your Google Plus local listing, along with your website and your citations. You want to make sure these are all the same. You're going to also want to include a description on that Google Plus local listing that invites the click. And I'm going to show you an example of what that looks like here in a second, but you want to include a paragraph or however much information in your description on your Google Plus local listing to make sure that people actually click through your site. You want it to be inviting about you, about your practice, whatever it may be. Get a good description together for it. In the listing, you also want to choose as many categories as apply. So when you're creating a listing, or if you go back and edit your listing, there's a place to select categories. And you want to make sure that you select as many that apply to your practice and what you do. So there are all sorts of categories that do apply to therapists and psychologists. So go through those and apply the ones that relate to your practice. This is very, very important because if you do not have the right category selected, Google's not going to know what you do and they're not going to serve you up. So be sure to select the correct categories. I'm going to show you some examples of those here in a second. Another thing, images. You want to include images on your Google local listing because images invite a click. If you have high quality images of your office or images from your website, images of your team, whatever it may be, put those on your Google local listing because if someone finds you on Google and they see great images, they're going to click through to you more likely than if you have no images. So get some good photos on there. Alrighty, so this is what you will see when you log into the back end of your Google local listing. This is edit mode in your dashboard. And you'll see here you can enter your business name, your address, your contact info, which you want to make sure obviously is the same everywhere around the web, your address, including the suite number. Be sure to include that suite number. A lot of people forget that, and it's very important to include it. And here are the categories. So if you can see at the top, category, counselor, psychologist, family counselor, child psychologist. These are all of the categories that apply to this practice. So you want to go through and search those and find the ones that apply to you as well. You can also include your hours. You can see here the photos that I was just talking about and the introduction, that description right there at the bottom. So these are all things that you can edit yourself when creating or updating your Google Plus local listing. More about the Google Plus local listing. Videos. If you have a YouTube account and a YouTube channel, you can connect this directly to your listing. So when people do go to your listing, they can go to your YouTube channel as well. Videos are not a vital part, but if you do have them and you're well made, you might as well connect it to your Google Plus local page. Again, I'm gonna say it again. Nap consistency with your website and citations. Make sure everything is consistent. It's a mess to clean it up, and a lot of people have this inconsistent data floating around, which is causing them not to rank well. So make sure if you're creating a listing or if you're editing things, make sure it's all consistent, okay? Same if you, like I said, if you moved or if you have a different phone number, this will confuse Google, and we do not want to confuse Google. So make sure that you update this information everywhere. One thing to know, if you have a group practice and you have a group practice Google local listing, you want to make sure that if your practitioners in your group practice also have their own Google Plus local pages, they need to be using a different phone number instead of your main practice number. So if Google sees that a group practice is located at one address and there's all of these practitioners sharing that same address, you want to make sure that they have their own personal phone number so that it doesn't confuse them about that location. All right, the last piece are citations. So what are citations? I know I've said that word a few times, but what are they? A citation is any place where your business is listed online or offline. So this is usually your name, your address, and your phone number together, but it can be just your business name and your address, or just your address and your phone number. So that's what a citation is. Examples of citations are Psychology Today. Your Psychology Today profile is considered a citation because you have your business name or your personal name and your address and phone number there. So are Yellow Page listings and Yelp, etc. Another thing, a Facebook business page is considered a citation. A Twitter business account is a citation. All of these different places that you're listing your business are considered citations. Note, this is kind of weird, but some citations are created without you knowing it. So think back to that image I showed you with all of those data aggregators that are feeding that information into Google. Some of these sites scrape the internet and they create listings for you. So if you have moved 5 times in your entire practice evolution, then it's very likely that you have a lot of inconsistent data out there from these citation sites that have created them for you. So watch out for those. And okay, so when you're creating a citation or editing it, you want to make sure to provide all the information requested. This can include description, your name, photos, all sorts of stuff. Just be sure to include all the information that you request. You also want to fill in categories and be consistent with your services. So if you're creating a citation listing, say on Yellow Pages, and they provide you with an option to include categories, these are very, very important. So include categories that apply to the services that you provide, because if you do not provide categories, or if you just leave it blank, the listing isn't going to know what you do. So they're not going to serve you up if someone's searching for you. So be sure to keep those categories filled up and consistent with your services. Like I said, some require more than just your business name, address, and phone number. So if they request more info, do a thorough job. Just go ahead and fill those out. It'll benefit you. Again, NAP consistency on all those citations. You know, be consistent with your Google Plus listing and your website. Just do all of these, your business name, your phone number, and your address. Make them all the same. This is a really great resource for you guys. It's the top 50 citations in the US. So there are other countries with these citations if you visit this page, but these are the top 50 citations for the US. And we're going to send you this link, but these are the places that you want to be. Get your business located on Express Update, Localese, and Axiom. Get on there. These are really, really great places for your business to be listed. Third, the key to getting clicks. So let's talk about reviews here for a second. When you go on Google Local and you're searching for, let's just say you're in Boulder and you want to find a pizza joint, and you search Boulder Pizza, you're going to see that several listings show up, and a lot of them are going to have reviews and some of them are not. Your eyes are drawn to those listings that have reviews. And just so you guys know, the stars that show up underneath a listing when you do a search usually show up after 5 reviews. So if you only have 2, that's probably why those reviews aren't showing up. But that 5 review is the magic number supposedly with Google. So get 5 of those. If you are getting reviews, these reviews should be provided by your peers, not your clients. So ask your peers that you've worked with or you've collaborated with to write a review for you on Google. These are really, really great, information for potential clients to see, and we like to see good reviews. I mean, I know when I'm looking to go get pizza, I would rather go to the pizza place with 5 reviews than the pizza place that has no reviews, or even worse, 1. So just ask your peers to provide you a review on Google Local. One thing is the reviewer does need to have a Google account. So we're going to provide you with a really great worksheet that you can send out to people, but they do need to have a Google account to review you. And this is the review link, and we're going to send this out in an email afterwards as well. But you can actually create a handout generator for your company, for your specific company. And here's an example of how our eyes are drawn to those reviews. You can see here that there's 3 listings for this psychologist search. And our eyes are just naturally drawn to those with reviews. The stars are just really appealing, and we like to see that. So reviews are awesome. So that was a lot of info. I hope you guys are still there and you're breathing. But yeah, I'm going to turn it over to Becky, and she's going to talk a little bit more about how we can help you and what you need to do to fix this stuff. So,
okay, yeah, that was a lot of information. My head's spinning. So, the big question is, do you know what to do? Okay, is your website solid? Is it optimized? Is it optimized with local SEO? Is that ready to go? Google local listing, do you have it created? Is it well optimized as well? It has to match your website. And then citations. This is the part that is really a drag. Have you ever moved your office, right? Have you ever had a different business name? Have you ever had a different phone number? These are the things that end up really stressing us out, because they end up showing up all over the place. There's inconsistencies, and there's a lot of cleanup to do if this is the case. So the problem, when I was, when Megan came back from the conference and she was telling me about how much these inconsistencies are really interfering with successfully ranking, and also the local SEO pieces, I was sitting there wondering, okay, how can we really take this information to therapists? What is, what's gonna happen here if we do? So we decided to do 2 things. We basically decided that we were going to do this, give this webinar, give you a lot of information, send you to a resources page at the end, and let you take a crack at it yourself. Having worked with therapists for 8 years, I know that there's a large number of you who are probably going to say, well, that's great, and that's really overwhelming, and I don't have time to do that. So we decided that we were going to also offer something else, okay? So you can do this the hard way. There are some of you who are really tech savvy, who have it under control, who have enough time to go out there and do this. Go ahead and do it, because you have pretty much all the information you need here, okay, and on the resources page. So go ahead and do it yourself. But there is an easier way, okay? So what we decided to do was to come up with a personalized Google local assessment offering. And in this assessment, I'll talk about it in detail, but basically what we do is we look at your situation in particular. We dive into all of these areas. We create a local assessment document, and we have a video. So let's talk about what this is actually. The way it works is that you would order it. We would analyze first your website, make sure that it's well optimized for local. Look at your Google local listing or lack thereof. Some of you may not even have it yet. And then look at your citations and check for duplicates, inconsistent listings, missing top 50 listings, all of that stuff, okay? Then we're going to deliver a complete action plan to you that includes everything that needs to be done to strengthen your position in Google. And we're going to shoot a video of this, walking you through, talking you through each piece. And that way, it's not going to be just a bunch of techno babble that you don't understand. We're actually going to talk about what's in there, okay? This is probably going to take us a while. It's very time-consuming work, as you can imagine. On your own doing this, especially if you had any multiple addresses or phone numbers or business names, it could easily take you 15 hours, okay? Now, we have purchased some tools that make it a bit faster for us. Even with the tools, there's still a large bit of manual work and actual smart analysis, because you have to be able to look at a website and know if it's locally optimized, and you also have to look at all of the Google local listing pieces and make sure that they're set up correctly. So there's definite manual work involved in this. We'll deliver the assessments within 2 weeks of ordering, okay? We think we can hit that deadline. So that's what we're committing to, 2 weeks of ordering. How much is this worth? Well, for some of you, this whole puzzle could be the missing piece for you, okay? If you think about not showing up, and you think about not being found, just like Joshua Bell in the subway, okay, you're not going to get clients that way. So this could be something that is really the answer for you. All of the pieces must be done. They must fit together perfectly. And, you know, bottom line, you guys really do have something to offer. You should allow yourself to be found by people who are looking for you. I already showed you the number of people who are still out there looking for therapists and counselors and psychologists. And so you know they're out there. The details of this are that we're only going to accept 10 therapists at this time for this assessment. We know it's going to be very time consuming. Our fear is that we're perhaps underestimating the time it's going to take us. So we're only going to accept 10 people. We're going to do this at a flat fee rate instead of an hourly charge, okay? So let's talk about cost. It's not going to be cheap because it is very time consuming. Our normal consulting rate is $140 an hour, very similar to what you charge your clients. With our tools, we hope to be able to complete the assessments in 6 to 8 hours on average. That would mean that the total cost would be between $840 and $1,120, which is ridiculous, right? That would be like a lot of money. So we're not going to charge that. We're going to offer an initial price of $247 for this flat fee, and you're going to get the whole ball of wax. So if you are interested in this, you can get this at counselingwise.com/Google Local Plan, hyphens between each of those words, Google Local Plan. And I strongly encourage you to get this. This is really the puzzle you need to solve so that you can get in front of people. Even if you don't get, you know, one thing that we haven't talked about is that even if you don't get even if the term someone is searching for is not a term that shows up in Google Local, you can get much better organic rankings for this too. Okay, so for instance, that attorney I showed you, he shows up for Boulder Employment Attorney in a 7-pack, but for Boulder Business Attorney, they don't show a 7-pack, but he shows up at the top of the page for Boulder Business Attorney. All right, so it'll help you both with 7-pack, with Google Local, starred type listings, and also organic. We have the best information from the best local ranking experts that exist. We've invested in learning that, and I know that these spots won't last long. So I just encourage you to take action. You can do one of two things. Take the information from this webinar and do it yourself. And the other option is to get help from us. Either way, what I encourage you to do is do something. Okay, you invested the time to listen to this. You can listen to the replay again, but just get something done here. Here is the page for the resources. We will also send this out with the replay of this webinar. counselingwise.com, Google Local Resources, dashes between all of those. And then you can also order your personalized plan by going to the Google Local Plan, okay? All right, so we're gonna turn to the questions now. Megan and I will field them together. Most of the techie questions are really Megan questions, but we're gonna scroll down to the bottom and get the first questions that came in and start answering them. All right, ready?
Yes.
All right, here we go. Let's see what we got. Whoops, I hope I didn't do anything wrong. Hello, everybody. Hello. That's not what I meant to do. Let me see if I can get that link back up there again. All right, share.
Wouldn't be fun without a little bit of technical problems.
That's right. That's right. It's a good thing we had clothes on, right? Okay. All right. So there's the link. Here we go. We're going to find the first questions that came in. Okay. I think we got this. Carol asks, I think this is the first one. Let's see. Yeah. Carol asked, are there heat maps for eye tracking as opposed to mousing on Google listings? I may have some history on that. I know that before there certainly were heat maps for eye tracking. I'm not sure that they've been able to, you know, that requires a lot more sophistication in terms of technology to track. And they also found a high correlation between eye tracking and mouse movement. So that's the answer there. I think anymore they're really talking about mouse movement. Let's see. Someone else answered that. You answered that one. Good. Okay. There, Michael. Megan, we once spoke about optimizing photos by virtue of the name we use. Does this hold true for the page profile local photo image?
So this is really interesting. I actually just read an article about photos on Google Local, and I don't think it hurts, Michael. I don't think it hurts at all to rename those images based on your focus keyword. But I don't know if it helps either. I don't think that they're going to provide that information. I don't think Google's going to say, hey, if you rename your images this way, then you're going to be ranked higher. But it doesn't hurt. So if you, and what Michael is referring to is you can actually optimize photos on your website so that they are renamed as your focus keyword. And we have a blog post about that. If you go over to counselingwise.com/blog, there's a post about photos there. But Michael, I don't think it's going to hurt, and I also don't know if it's going to help. So I'm sorry about that, but yeah.
Okay, Mary's making comments about that chart with all the axiom and all the feeds. Yes, it does make my head hurt as well. Isn't in a stop word for the Google algorithm?
No.
No, not for Google Local. When you're doing it on a website with local SEO, it is a stop word, but for Google Local, it's more generous.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. How do you load videos to your Google Plus listing? Oh, I think we've answered that, right?
Yeah. So Steph was asking about how you can load videos to your Google Plus listing. This is as easy as linking your YouTube channel, if you have one, to your Google Local listing. So that's what she was referring to with those loading videos, I think.
Okay. Let's see. Next one. How do you adjust this for a national business?
That's a really good question. So I think this is more focused towards local businesses. With a national business, you can do different optimization for your website, and you can create a Google Plus business page. So that's where the difference is going to be. You're not going to have a local page. You're going to have a business page, which is very similar to what we showed you with that our Counseling Wise business page. So that's what you're going to want to do. But for the optimization of your website, you're just going to want to do generic terms rather than locally focused city and state terms as well.
Okay, and Deborah, we've done the same thing, and we have a Google Plus account, and there's actually in the last search metrics study in September, they basically show Google Plus postings as being really effective for ranking. Nissa says, how does one delete an old Yelp account? Do you know?
That's a good question. I think Yelp makes it pretty difficult to delete stuff, as well as some of the other citation sites. So if you don't have the login information, or if you forgot your Yelp login information, I think there's a way just to contact Yelp directly and tell them that you want to delete that account. So I would go about doing that way. If you go to yelp.com, I'm sure there's like a support or a contact tab that you could go to and submit a request to delete it.
Okay.
And one more thing, just let them know if you're trying to delete it because it's an old address or whatever it may be, let them know that. Say, hey, I moved, I want to delete this. It's, it's messing things up. So just let them know it's old and you can go ahead and delete it.
Okay, Miro is asking, how do you fix inconsistencies? Do you have to pay the fees typically asked for to change information?
I'm a little confused what you're meaning when you say pay the fees that are typically asked for to change information. If you have inconsistencies on citations, a lot of times what you just have to do is you have to go out there, find them, and either request to delete them or edit them. For Google Local, you can just go ahead and delete duplicates. If you have the login information, the same thing. There should not be any fees unless it's a paid site, and I wouldn't imagine that they would charge you to change your address.
Okay.
Or your phone number.
Harriet, can clients give reviews, and what do you do? Oh, wait, Carol, sorry. My old Yellow Pages ad, which I no longer have, with an old phone number and address, was picked up as an autofill by automatic websites that list practitioners. I have no way of contacting those websites nor of manually making a change, which I have tried. How do I get this inconsistent information off?
Yes, so this is an issue. So when this old information is fed into these other sites, usually the source of this information, it sounds like you had a Yellow Pages ad, but usually also there are bigger data aggregators. So like Axiom is one, Localese is one. Those are the ones that are the places that are feeding this information in. So if you can't change it directly on that Yellow Page ad, or it sounds like those automatic websites, if you can't change them there, if you can't request anything or can't get in touch with a human, go to the main sources, go to those big data aggregators and make sure your addresses are okay there. Because if they're not okay there, then they're probably not going to change them.
Okay. Can clients give reviews, and what do you do with a negative review?
I'll let you answer that one.
Clients can give reviews. If you have a Google listing out there, anybody with a Google account can go out and give a review. So the downside is that you want to make sure that you have positive reviews from peers, so that if you do get a negative review, it averages out to a high number still. The other thing that you can do is, you don't necessarily want to argue with them, right? Publicly, because that's a privacy problem. So you don't want to do that. But what you want to do is get more positives and basically bury that negative review. That's really what you want to do. Steph, is there somewhere I can find that list of citations today, or do I have to wait until you send us the link? You can go to that page, counselingwise.com, Google-local-resources, and it is there for you. Is it ethical to get friends, peers to review you? Yeah, we just talked about that. Get peers. You don't want to get somebody who's not in the trade, so to speak. Friends, it's just not as, it doesn't have as much credibility. Stephen, what do you do with a bad review that is not true but shows up? There you go, Stephen. Same thing. Bury it. Okay. Get a bunch of good ones and bury it, and have your average number still be high. Christine, I made 2 Google Plus business pages, one for each office. I am thinking I may have made a mistake. I have honestly never given Google Plus a second thought because I don't like the interface. Secondly, how do I find Google Local through Google Plus? I only see Google Business. That's a Megan question.
Okay, so 2 Google Plus business pages, one for each office. That's great. You want to have 2 different pages for each location. Okay, so you did fine there. You did not make a mistake. And you probably should give Google Plus a second thought, because it's a really, really powerful tool that you can use for social media as well. So if you're active on Facebook and Twitter, go ahead and use Google Plus too. You can post articles, you can join groups. It's the same idea. So yeah, give it a second chance. I really recommend it. It's kind of fun too. And then how do I find Google Local through Google Plus? So if you're in your Google Plus account and you are in your Google Plus profile, you're going to go ahead and, if you can visualize this, in the top left-hand corner, you're going to hover over that home button, and you're going to go down and click on pages. And once you click on pages, that should take you to your business pages. Now, if you did not create local pages for each location, then you need to create a local page for each location. But it sounds like you already did create a local page for both places. So I think you're good to go. But that's how you access it.
Okay, Kylie, Becky's company's building a website now, doing blah, blah, blah. Awesome, Kylie, thanks. Appreciate it. Appreciate that little sharing. Christine, also, do you mean to say that having a Facebook business page is a citation and I shouldn't have it?
Oh gosh, no. That's not what you're saying. So citations are good. When you have citations out there, the more high quality citations you have, the better. So Facebook is a very, very high quality citation. So if you have a Facebook business page and you have the consistent name, address, and phone number that coincides with your website and your Google Plus local page, that is awesome. Google really, really likes Facebook. So yes, Facebook business page is a good thing to have.
Okay, let's see. Harriet, analysis is one thing, but does your plan correct deficiencies, or is that another fee? So Harriet, I'll answer that. What we're doing in the analysis is we're looking at how big the job is going to be to fix it. Our hope is that obviously you can take it. We could say this one's wrong, this one's wrong, this one's wrong. Go clean that up, fix that. Do this, do that. So if you have the skills to do that, you can go fix that yourself. If you need help with it, we will also be helping. We will also be providing help. But the price is going to depend on all sorts of different things, right? How big of an issue it is or how simple it is. So that's the answer there. Melanie, what's a 7-pack? The answer to that is, in Google Local, where it has A, B, C, D, E, F, G, I think. Is that the numbers? Is that 7? However many that is. That's called the 7-pack, where those listings are at the top of the page and they have those little colored teardrops next to them.
Yeah, so ideally there's 7 spots open, 7 spots that you can rank in within Google Local on page 1. Excuse me. And that's a 7-pack.
Okay. Pete, what are your thoughts on Facebook's advertising feature, which targets age, gender, interests, etc. for promoting a Facebook page? Does this convert into clients? Yeah, that's not really the focus of this right now, Pete. So if we have time, we're almost done. I'll move on. Deborah, this sounds really great. How can this help a business like mine that wants a national presence? I think I think that we already answered that. We use it for ours. We are a national presence too. We post things on Google Plus, and it really helps our SEO. So play there, not locally, but nationally. Christina, should I have my own page separate from a group practice page? Maybe the group practice would rather you not, probably, but if you do, you can. Okay.
Yeah, and this, I know we're running out of time, but I've talked to several local SEO specialists about this, and Google says you can have your own page if you work for group practice, but we recommend not. You can. It's not a bad thing if you have your own personal phone number, but if you do work for a group practice, I would stick to just letting that group practice, have the page.
Let's see, is the stuff I would need, I think I answered that. It's going to be pretty easy on most things. Maybe the SEO won't be easy for you, but the citation cleanup should be pretty easy. If your business is both local and national, can you have both a local and national page? Do you know?
That's interesting. I would think that you would want to have a page for both. I think you would want to have a local page that's more of a locally focused map related page, and then you could also have a national page like we have for Counseling Wise. I don't see there being an issue, but that's a really good question. Something we'd have to look more into.
So we can try to look into that and get back with you. And we are at the top of the hour here. We're going to keep answering questions for anyone who wants to stay and ask more questions. No problem. If you have to go, just know that we're going to include all of these in the replay. So if you registered, you automatically get the replay. So no worries, you're not going to miss anything if you have to go. Okay. All right. Let's see. Nissa asks, I hope that's how you pronounce your name. Is it helpful to have a Yelp account? I will answer that one. Yelp is one on the top 50 list. It is very effective. There has been a lot of stuff said about Yelp, shall we say, that they tend to hold you hostage and they don't show all your reviews and all that kind of stuff. So it's still supposedly really helpful because they're very powerful in terms of giving you credibility online, and there are some sticky issues with Yelp at times. Okay, so we can talk more about Yelp somewhere else. I know that people have also talked about it out in LinkedIn groups and that type of thing. Val, can you tell me what platform you're using to do the webinar? Oh, we're using Webinar Jam on top of Google+. And yes, we recorded the whole thing. Muriel is saying they usually ask for a fee to edit an incorrect listing.
That's interesting.
Maybe you can ask, send us which one, Muriel, which one you're talking about. Oh, you say on Yelp. Yeah. So this is some of the Yelp frustration that people have. So we could look into that a little bit more. We belong to a big group of these local gurus, and we'll see what they have to say about Yelp, okay? And we'll get back to you. My counseling coaching practice is purely online. I see counseling clients all over Colorado and coaching clients across the U.S. How would you suggest handling Google local listings? I don't think that I think it's very similar to any national business in that case. We still have this question of whether you can have a local and a national listing, so that'll answer that. But if you see a lot of people in Colorado, then it's not going to be bad to have a local listing in Colorado. So we'll get back to you on that one, Deb. Are we looking, with the type of local listing, are we looking for storefront or service area?
You would want to do storefront if you have a specific location. Yeah.
Okay. If multi-site practices is best to have a page for the overall practice and a local page for each office.
Multi-site practice. Okay, is best to have a
Are
page.
your multi-sites local? If so, you would want multiple local listings, Christopher. That's the answer there, okay? Work out of my house. I don't want to make a Google map. How do I get around this? Yeah, that's a trick.
Carol, there is a way of creating a Google local listing and saying that you don't want your address to be shown up. I think there's a way of doing that, and I would have to look more into it. We haven't done that for many people, but as far as I know, there's a way of saying I work at this office, but I don't want people to see my exact location. So that is an option, and that would be in the setup of the Google local page. So I'll look into that and I'll let you know. But as far as I know, there is a way of doing that. The only thing is you could not have a Google map on your website, because then you know what would it be a pin for? So
yeah,
you won't be able to have that.
Yeah. Donna, may I purchase the assessment now and use it after I've tried to build these tools myself, like in a few weeks? Yes, definitely, Donna. As long as, you know, we haven't already sold out, you can. So if you ordered it now, you can use it whenever you need to use it. Ashley, thank you. Purchase the assessment and be in touch. Great. Harriet, we offer information on how to correct deficiency on my own or consult with me. Yes, we will. As part of that plan, we will offer you information on how to correct them. Eric, highly informative, greatly appreciated. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate that. Christina, what about just website versus Google page? Not sure if my group practice would be interested in a Google page. So what we're saying, the whole point of this, Christina, is that the Google page is really going to help your practice along with your website rank much better. If you just have a website and you don't have that, you're probably not going to stand a chance. Okay. Christopher, not for, oh, something else. Oh, thanks, Christopher. If I set up Google Plus page and said, should I delete? Okay. Michael, if you set up a Google Plus business page, then subsequently set up a Google local page, should I delete the original business page?
If you have a local business, I don't think you need both. So if you have a Google Plus local page and a business page, go ahead and I would recommend deleting that Google Plus business page and keep that local page, because that local page is going to help you rank better locally than, say, a generic business page.
Okay, Nissa said I pronounced her name correctly. Awesome. Natalie, how much again? It's $247, Natalie, $247. Another message or question from Christopher, does Google automatically decide if you set up a Google business page? The local page only shows 4 places to review and my overall profile for review. Do you understand that?
Does Google, it's kind of confusing me. Google does not automatically decide what type of page you set up. So you get to choose what type of page you set up in Google. So if you want to set up a local page, you can. And if you want to set up a business page, you can. I'm not really understanding what you're saying with the local page only shows 4 places to review. If you want to explain that further, we could try and answer it. But right now I'm a little confused at what you're asking there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Type it in again, Christopher. Maybe we'll understand it differently. Christina, should I have my own website as well as a group practice site? It totally depends, Christina. If you feel that you're going to be with a group practice and you don't want to market yourself, then stay with the group practice site. Hopefully they're doing marketing well and you're getting clients and all is well. If you want to go out on your own or get more clients for yourself, whether you're staying with a group practice or going solo, then having your own website and your own Google local listing is the best way to control your own destiny. Okay. So I would do that. It totally depends on your situation. Hopefully that makes sense. That's all the questions that we have. I don't see Christopher's question popping in again. I know there is a delay, however. So go ahead and feel free to reach out and ask us, Christopher, if we end this before you get a chance. So I don't see any other questions coming in, and we're going to call it. We're going to wrap it up. So thanks, everyone, for attending. Really appreciate you being here today. Great questions that you guys asked. Awesome. And go get that stuff on the resource page. And if you want this assessment from us, go order that. Deborah, will your assessment help my national business? We would look at your SEO on your website and see how that's going. That's going to help. We can certainly look at your Google business, and yeah, we might just do a marketing analysis. That might be a better thing for you because it's a national business. but you can certainly send your stuff, and let's see. Okay, Christopher's trying again here. When I go to Google Local, it does not have a place to set up a page only for reviews. The only ways to set up a page seems to be under the business page that can include a map and other local features.
Right, so you can't, you cannot create a Google local page only for reviews. You have to create a Google local page, and that would be for your map and the other local features. You can't just have a place for reviews. You actually have to create a local page with all those other features. So I hope that answers your question.
Karen, if you've had a Yahoo email addresses connected to you professionally, do you have to now establish a Gmail address to do all of this? I believe you do. Do you? Do you have to have a Gmail address?
You can actually set up a Google local page. As far as I know, you can set up a Google local page with a Yahoo address.
Okay.
So try to do that. You should be able to, and if you have any difficulty, let me know, but you should be able to create one with that Yahoo address. And it looks like we missed a question from Natalie. Natalie said, I'm currently redoing my site and will now do a Google Plus page. I may be moving my site. Is that a problem? Moving your site, I'm assuming you're asking if you're changing your URL. That should not be a problem. Updating your URL on your Google Plus business page or your Google Plus local page is very easy. But just make sure that URL is consistent on the other citations that you're creating. So if you have a Facebook page or if you have a Yelp account, whatever those may be, update your URL over there too.
Okay, let's see. Val, great to have you two as resources. Great. Thank you, Val. Appreciate that. Oh, Natalie, yeah, we just went back and got your question, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we're good. All right, everybody, thanks so much. Send us any other questions you have. Take care. Good luck with local, and we'll see you in the next webinar next month.
See ya.
Bye-bye.